With this video, we are going to take a look at a Hydra PoC, so the proof of concept on how to run Hydra nodes. We start with the Cardano After Dark Hydra PoC Git repository and we clone it. In this case, I already cloned it in this folder. So what we typically do, we take a look at the README, and in the README, we see everything that we need to run this. We created a document that we will follow during this video in the README. Long story short, we will need to execute some make commands explained in the README. So let's get started. We're going to run a Cardano node in my local machine and then run two Hydra nodes, one for client A, or say Alice, and B, Bob. And then on top of this A node, we will have a client for Alice to send and receive data on the Hydra node, and also client for Bob to do the same. So we start by setting up the infrastructure. We already cloned everything, so we start basically by executing an install of everything that is needed. So make install, it's creating the infra directory. So this directory here, and here we go. And we can keep going by creating the environment variables. Make env. So now you see that we have a new env file, which will be holding all the information that we need for the development of our proof of concept. At this point, we are setting up and starting a Cardano node. Make Cardano node. What it does here, it is downloading Mithril right now, as you can see from here. And once the DB is loaded, it goes replaying all the transactions on top of the node. This process will take 20 minutes, and ideally, we are going to speed it up during this video. Let's see how it goes. Okay, now we are approaching the end of the replay of the blocks. Almost there. Okay. All the blocks are now replayed. And the Cardano node will start listening. So we have this part right now working. I'll go back to the document. We made the Cardano node, and now we keep it running. We want also make sure that the database is updated. So we perform a query on the tip. So we clear everything and do make query tip. And now we can see we queried the node, and the progress is 100%. So we can keep going with the next steps. At this point, like we said, we already started the Cardano node. We want to start the two Hydra nodes and then the clients. So we will be keeping the Cardano node running, and then we will be opening two Hydra nodes. We will be starting two Hydra nodes here and there, and then start messaging on them. Now we need to start creating the credentials for the parties. So let's open a service terminal and let's see what we actually need to do. Now, in the infrastructure directory, we are going to generate a set of keys for the funding and the participants. So make setup funding wallet. Now, with this, I need to refresh, I guess. You can just take a look at previously recorded, still very refreshed. And we see that in the infrastructure, we have a credential folder, and the credential folder already has a funding address and wallet secret key and verification. So with this address, which is the same address that we will be reading in the .other, we can go to the Cardano testnet faucet and we select reprod, copy the address, and then request the funds. At this point, the funds that the test aid for preprod are sent to this wallet address. And we keep going by creating the credentials for Alice and Bob. Now we don't have them yet, but we are creating them. So to make demo credentials. Okay, now you see we created an address for Alice and Bob, both for the funds and their wallets and the node address, secret key, and verification key. Now the last step to these Hydra nodes is also create the keys for the two Hydra nodes. So we are going to make demo. That's one demo Hydra keys. And now we see that we added also the Hydra keys around. Okay. We are ready, almost ready to go. The idea is we should be aware of what we just created. We created the user node address and credentials. The funds is how we store that preprod ADA that we send to that wallet. And the Hydra credentials are stored in the dash Hydra. It's in the infrastructure credentials username. Now I'll activate the make fund demo. Now this process will basically try to use the funds that we sent initially to this funding wallet address and redistribute them so that we can perform our communication. If we didn't transfer yet the funds through the testnet faucet, the process was just waiting for the transfer to happen. At this point, we can just check if everything is how we expect. So make query demo wallet, and we can see the UTXOs for the participants. So the Alice node and funds and the Bob node and funds. So seems that everything is okay. It also matches the document. So we are good to go. At this point, in this use case, we are going to run these two Hydra nodes. I will be basically running them in two console processes here. So you have them stacked on top of the Cardano node running. So it will be make. Let's read the instruction. Add this node. Track. Hydra starting. And this is going to be the first Hydra node. Okay, broadcasting reliability. Make Bob node. There we go. Nice. Now we have the two Hydra nodes running and communicating with the Cardano node that is on my machine. At this point, we can just start listening to the WebSocket so that we can check what's happening behind the scene. So this is Alice that knows that the peer is called Bob node and it's connected in idle status, and we see a greeting message. Now we do the same for Bob, who's listening on port 4002. But the Bob node knows that the peer is the Alice node. So I would say we are set up at this point. Cardano, the two Hydra nodes, and we have some WebSocket to see and send data. At this point, we can initialize the Hydra head. It's still experimental technology, so something wrong can happen, but just don't worry. Worst case, we repeat the command. Now we initialize, just one of the two clients need to initialize, and we need to wait a little bit so the initialization is complete. Now, ideally, we should see head is initializing message in the WebSocket output. Typically, we need to have, so it's something like this. After the init, we should see heads is initializing. Ideally, we should have a little bit of patience. Doesn't come immediately. Okay, now it's there. We see that the head is initializing for both the WebSockets. And at this point, we can commit the funds to the head. Let's open another service terminal, or maybe we can even use VS Code. I don't know. Let's use this service terminal. Make commit funds demo. And here we go. Transaction was submitted. And all is working. Okay. At this point, we can start performing the layer 2 transactions, which we are doing through a client. We have a client that sends and a client that receives some messages. It's a TypeScript client that lives in the same repository as the whole project. So in this repository, we can just perform clear pnpm install. Okay. And at this point, we can split the terminal, split horizontal, I would say, yes. let's say that on top, like in the image, on top we keep the sender, and on the bottom the receiver, on the left for Alice, and on the right for Bob. And that's pretty simple because we just need to run pm chat, select one to start the sender. So let's see how it works for Alice. Pm chat. In this case is the sender for Alice. None. Pm chat. This, sorry, the PoC and Hydra PoC, Hydra PoC, pm chat, the receiver for this. And now we do the same for Bob. Split in, let's split horizontally. PM chat. Start the sender for Bob. And here, PM chat. CV PoC. PM chat. And we start the receiver for Bob. Now at this point, we can perform a communication. For instance, we start with Alice and say, "Hi there, I'm Alice." Now the message was sent. We can see through the WebSocket. The message was sent, and we saw also the Hydra node that received that, and it was received both by the Alice receiver and by the Bob's receiver. At this point, Bob, which is in the same channel, can say, "Hi, Alice. It's Bob here." And as you can see, the Bob reply is visible both from Bob's receiver and from Alice receiver client. So this is the basic communication of messages through a Hydra channel, and we can also send like large messages. We are implementing some technology to perform advanced transactions, but now this is not the scope of this demo. So at this stage, we just need to, we already demonstrated the messaging, the sending transactions through Hydra smart contract, and now we are going to close the Hydra head. We send the commands via the WebSocket, and we send just a tag close here. Again, one of the two WebSockets has to send the message, and the other will get also the message. So let's send this. Okay. Now a little bit of patience. And for the close, we observe that sometimes you might need to send the close message twice. It's just an observation we made. Have a little bit of patience. We should be receiving a head is closed message. Increase in 10 Cardano slots, maybe. Let's see. Okay, still we did not get the message. So I'm going to send again the tag close, maybe from the other client. There's no difference basically. Let's see if this causes a close. Okay. Now we received the head is closed message. That means the Hydra head is closed, but not yet persisted onto the Cardano blockchain. So now that's the last step. We need to perform a fan out transaction, which is transforming everything that the sum of the transactions in the Hydra head onto the Cardano blockchain, that is the Cardano node that is below. So we copy, we perform the fan out. Again, one of the two clients is enough. And oops, yeah, we got a fail to post because probably we sent twice the close. But we will get the fan out. Just a question of a minute or two. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was already posted there. So that's the fan out transaction where we are going to send back the remaining funds to the four addresses that we created. And we can see the contestation deadline is set to be shortly. Okay. At this stage, we already performed our messaging. At this stage we performed the messaging and closed the the Hydra head. We did the fan out, and the results are already on the blockchain. So now we are going to check the final balance on the layer one. So the messaging was on Hydra on the layer two, and now we're going to check the results on the layer one. Let's see. Let's open a new service terminal. CD PoC, Hydra PoC, make query demo wallets. Now we see that we spent part of the UTXOs, and therefore the whole operation had an effect on the blockchain. At this point, we could proceed by refunding the wallet, but I think this is not really the scope of this demo. Just keep in mind that we also documented that sometimes it can happen that we have a failure, but that's more for the Hydra guys if they want to take a look at this. We have one more. That's basically it for this demo. Just two more things to consider. We have already tested the Hydra PoC remote. So let's say a friend, I don't know, in Europe, another friend in the US, each one with their Cardano node, each one with their Hydra node running against the Cardano node and its own client. And then, of course, we did need to set up a port forwarding because we are inside non-public networks. And we were able to send the messages basically in the same fashion. The main difference is you need to find your external IP address, agree on a port, and then use slightly different commands because each one of the parties has a different username. It's not anymore Alice and Bob. And one more consideration that you can read in the README. Sorry, one more thing related to setting up the remote test is in the environment file, we'll have a place to store the IP of your peer. In this case, when your peer gives you the external IP address, you basically copy his IP address and you paste it here, as well as the port. I don't know, 5858. And then you provide the peer username. I don't know, James, for instance. And then you can just perform the test. One more consideration is that that you can read in the README is you can change the parameters of the Hydra nodes. For instance, at the moment we are using zero fees transactions, but you can basically check the README and see how to perform a change in the protocol that is below this communication infrastructure. Yeah, that's basically it for the demo. Thanks for following up. And yeah, take a look at the docs. Please contact us. Any information, any feedback is very valuable for us because we want to keep going and help shaping the future of Cardano. Thanks a lot from the Cardano After Dark team, and bye.